Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at Nvidia, and tomorrow when the market opens, we should all have our 9 extra shares. Pretty excited about that and pretty interesting to see Nvidia back in the $100 values after the split. On today's episode, what I want to do is take a closer look at some recent news impacting the AI market. More importantly, I want to take a closer look at the competition that did showcase a lot of kind of competitive chips during Computex event. And finally, I've had some time to take a closer look at them. I'll probably do individual videos on them later on, but today I really want to take a nice top level overview on them. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so hope everybody had a great weekend. We're going to just start off with some news before taking a closer look at those AI competitive chips. So the first one came out about a week ago at the end of May, so May 31st, almost 9 days ago, that OpenAI is restarting its robotics research group. So I kind of missed this one, but I'm just bringing it up because I do believe this is very important. And we have heard from Nvidia that, hey, looks, the robotics market is one of the next markets that we're getting thanks to artificial intelligence. We don't necessarily know when it's going to come, but I do believe the robotics market can be huge, very similar to the autonomous vehicle market in general, things like drones and any type of technology that's going to be mobile or kind of bring mobility to the world. So for me, I just wanted to bring it up because it does kind of showcase that, hey, look, wow, maybe we don't know when the robotics market, we do see big companies working into this, and obviously that can be a huge push for Nvidia's AI GPU and AI software solutions in the future. The final news I want to take a closer look at comes for HBM4. And for those that are not familiar, HBM4, HBM memory in general, or high bandwidth memory, is the memory used on AI accelerators. And right now there are talks that the battle for HBM4 begins. Right now we are seeing HBM3E being used in a lot of chips like the H200, I believe the Blackwell as well, the upcoming AMD chips as well are using kind of the HBM3E. So the next step, obviously, after that is going to be HBM4. And right now, it does seem like one of the big players in HBM is obviously SK Hynix. And SK Hynix believes that HBM4 memory will come in 2026 using hybrid bonding to stack more DRAM layers. So hybrid bonding, I just wanted to kind of bring this article because I know there's a lot of investors out there that follow semiconductor equipment companies. So we're going to need, if we believe that the future is all dependent on memory, on things like HBM, then hybrid bonding is very important. So we're going to have to take a closer look at companies that deal and provide hybrid bonding solution. Just one kind of keynote, or if anybody's curious, one of my favorite companies that does provide equipment for things like hybrid bonding and advanced packaging is BESI, BE Semiconductor. I do own this stock. In the past year, the stock is up roughly 53%. Year to date, the stock is pretty much flat with a market cap of roughly $12.5 billion. So this is one of those semiconductor companies that I personally enjoy and invest. And if anybody wants to kind of have an idea of where maybe they should do some more research on, I would definitely suggest do some research on BE Semiconductor. If you guys let me know in the comments below if that you want somebody to do, that you want me to do a deep dive on BESI. Let me know. If I get a nice amount of comments for this, I can probably do a nice deep dive for you guys. Before we go any further, we are now on the road to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you all for the crazy support. So if you haven't and are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, make sure to check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode. All right, so that's all I have here in forms of recent news. Now I want to take a closer look at the competition. So during Computex last week, AMD is copying what Nvidia is doing and is doing an annual cadence of AI chips. So in 2023, at the end of 2023, they released the MI300X. Now this year, they want to release the MI325X. And for those that did not hear, the MI325X is still going to be part of kind of the MI300 series family. And one of the greatest things about it is it's going to have 288 gigs of memory using HBM3E. So with this much added memory, it's going to make it very, very kind of attractive for things like inferencing and maybe large language model training as well. Now, following that in 2025 or next year, they're going to jump into the next architecture. And this is going to be the MI350, which is going to be based on CDNA4. AMD has mentioned that, look, CDNA3 MI325X is going to compete against the H200. The MI350 is what they wanted to compete against the B200. And here they mentioned that versus kind of the MI350 versus the B200, they have more memory capacity, they have more AI compute, pretty much thanks to the added HBM memory that they have. So obviously looking at these numbers, you might think that, hey, look, Nvidia is in trouble. I personally believe that Nvidia, at least for the next 2 years, based on the roadmap, and I feel like at least 2 years, one can make a reasonable for kind of look into the future with the form of evidence that we have now. I think anything over 2 years, things start to get tricky because so much can change. But I wouldn't say at least for the next 2 years, I don't see Nvidia really having much competition. While all these chips that AMD are providing are really great, one of the weaknesses that they have is that they can't really build huge super clusters out of them. And that's where right now Nvidia is going to continue to dominate. The communication between these GPUs as well is also something that AMD can't do at a large scale. So for me, AMD, while they can definitely grow in the AI space, I'm not saying that AMD is going to be bearish or it's negative sentiment for AMD. I believe AMD can grow because this overall market is growing, but I don't believe they're going to be taking much market, if any, from Nvidia right now. They'll just be carving kind of that new market that as that market grows. So CDNA4 looks pretty interesting. The one I'm actually most excited about is 2026, which is the MI400, and that's based on a next architecture. So CDNA3 is MI300, MI325. The MI350 is CDNA4, and MI400 is going to be the generation after that. And they mentioned that, look, this is going to compete against the Rubin GPU. During the keynote, they mentioned that the MI400 is going to be able to have very, very huge super clusters meant for training and inferencing. And that's when I believe that unless NVIDIA if NVIDIA doesn't innovate, we know NVIDIA innovates, but if NVIDIA doesn't innovate, 2026 might be pretty interesting for AMD, and I believe that's when they can get a nice amount of revenue. So pretty excited there, but like I mentioned, as an NVIDIA investor, nothing to worry about. As an AMD investor, I do believe there's a lot of growth potential here. Now, we also heard from Intel. So Intel, I want to say, are lacking still a little bit here in the AI accelerator. The Gaudi 3, they talked about prices, right? So a Gaudi 3 with 8 times Gaudi 3 AI accelerators is only $125,000. I personally believe that's pretty cheap because, right, a single H100 or H200 is around $30,000. So now imagine times 8, that's about 240,000. So a Gaudi 3 AI accelerator seems to be a lot cheaper than kind of the H200. So Intel is really kind of pushing into the AI market, but they're really trying to do it more in that, look, where the cost of entry position, right? You choose us because you want a cheaper model, you want something at a cheap price, and you want something that maybe we can get to you really quickly. The great thing about Gaudi, though, is something that maybe AMD hasn't done right now is they are able to kind of really create huge accelerator clusters. We can see that the Gaudi can kind of scale up to at least 8,000 accelerators. So pretty interesting that Gaudi is definitely one that can be an improvement or an alternative thanks to that. Now, during the keynotes of both the Computex and keynote of both AMD and Intel, two things that they discussed. They discussed kind of connectivity solutions for the future. So the first one was Ultra Accelerator Link. And this is how I know NVIDIA is a beast when Nvidia is doing this single-handed. But for AMD, for all the other players, they need to team up together to be able to combat Nvidia. We can see AMD, Broadcom, Cisco, Google, HPE, Intel, Meta, and Microsoft are all coming out together to build this U Ultra Accelerator Link. And Ultra Accelerator Link is just a way to combat NVIDIA's NVLink. And for those that are not familiar with NVLink, NVLink is that GPU to GPU communication. It's what makes it seem that, hey, look, one GPU, like multiple GPUs are just one GPU. And this is very helpful for things like AI workloads. So unfortunately, not many companies or anybody can really do it to scale of what NVIDIA does. And this is what creates a strong strength of NVIDIA's AI chip solutions. Well, we can see that all these players are trying to create something similar. And in the future, maybe we might have this kind of communication with all these different AI accelerators. So this is something that is going to improve over time. And if I was as an NVIDIA investor, again, I don't believe this is going to really make any difference in the next 2 years. And this is why I said earlier on that at least for the next 2 years, I really wouldn't be worried about NVIDIA's dominance. But as we hear more about this, I think investors are definitely going to keep a closer eye on. The second thing they talked about was Ultra Ethernet. And this is another open source solution where, again, NVIDIA has done really well with their Spectrum X and also their Infinite Band solution, which allows for great AI workloads in the networking platform. Well, what an Ultra Ethernet is kind of creating that in this AMD and other big companies as well out there trying to find a way to combat NVIDIA. Again, like I mentioned early on, this is definitely something investors should keep a closer eye out, but NVIDIA is really improving their innovation and research and development in both their NVLink and both their Spectrum X and Infinite Band. So I think, like I mentioned, in the next 2 years, not something that I would worry about. And as long as NVIDIA continues to innovate at record pace, then it's going to be very hard for the competition to catch up. So just a quick update of what we saw during Computex and if maybe investors should be worried. I personally say the answer is no, at least for now. So let me know what you guys thought of today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.